It's trying to reason out probabilistically whether it's likely we're living in base reality or not. It's a subtle difference in approach, but to you and me living our lives, it boils down to the same unsettling possibility. The world might not be what we think it is. There's an interesting nuance here. Some philosophers, like David Chalmers, have pointed out that if we were in a perfect simulation, it might not actually negate the reality of our experiences. If the simulation is consistent and law-abiding, then the objects and people we interact with do exist, just on a different substrate. They're real within the simulated universe, kind of like how virtual particles in a video game are real to the game world. So Chalmers would say, maybe being in a simulation is not as disastrous for knowledge as Descartes' demon scenario. In The Matrix, Morpheus treats the Matrix world as totally false, desert of the real and all, but Chalmers says it's a form of reality, just not the one you think. That's a more optimistic spin. Even if we're in a vat or a sim, what we see still has some reality, just virtual reality. It's like saying, sure, I'm a brain in a vat, but these vat-generated tacos still taste pretty good, so who cares if they're not made of atoms? Not everyone is sold on that optimism, though. There are also arguments about whether a brain could even have a normal mind with no body at all. Some thinkers argue that minds are inherently embodied, that our bodily sensations, our hormones, our interactions with a physical environment shape consciousness in a way you can't just replicate with disembodied neurons. According to this view, a vat brain might go insane or comatose without a body, or it might never develop consciousness properly in the first place, if it started out vat-grown because it lacks the feedback systems of a biological organism. It's a compelling point. Your brain is part of a whole ecosystem called your body. Take it out of that, and who knows if it functions the same. The counter to that argument is, again, to imagine our hypothetical evil genius scientist is really on the ball. Maybe they also simulate all the hormonal drips and somatic feedback a brain would get from a body. If you manage to reproduce everything, down to the feeling of a pit in your stomach when you're nervous, the rush of adrenaline, etc., then perhaps the brain truly wouldn't know the difference. In theory, an almighty simulation could include a virtual body for the brain, so when you move your virtual arm, the computer feeds the brain the exact signals that having an arm would produce. This is getting very Inception level layered, but it shows how tricky the details can get. At this point, you might be thinking, okay fine, it's philosophically possible I'm a brain in a vat or a sim, but come on, isn't that a bit far-fetched? Has anything even remotely like this ever happened outside of philosophy class? Great question. Let's leave the armchair and head to the laboratory, or sometimes the mad scientist's basement, to see what science has to say.